First one it says work out 818.4 divided by 1.2. So as you know, this is non-calculative, so we rewrite this as 818.4 divided by 1.2. Move the decimal one place to the right-hand side. That gives us 8,184 divided by 12. Now let's start simplifying it. We know that they're both even numbers, so they come in the 2 times table. 2 divided by 8,184 is going to be 4,094. This is going to be 6. Again, two even numbers, so that's going to give us 2,046 divided by 3. If we add up the numbers in the numerator, 2 plus 4 is 6, 6 plus 6 is 12. So 12 is divisible by 3, so that means we can divide 2,046 by 3. It's going to give us 682. For the divisibility rule of 3, you need to add up all of the digits in the number, and if the sum of the digits gives us a number that is divisible by 3, that means the original number is also divisible by 3. Same rule applies with a number that's being divided by 9. Similarly, for the divisibility rule of 2, if it's an even number, it's going to be divisible by 2. You can check it by 4 as well. And if the number ends with a 5 or 0, that means it is divisible by 5. If it ends by 0, that means it is divisible by 10. Question 2 says the table shows the probabilities that the biased die will land on 3, on 4, on 5, and on 6. So we have a table where they've given us the number of dice and they've given us the corresponding probability. Kareem assumes that the probabilities that the dice will land on 1 and on 2 are the same. So that means we can assume that this is X and this is also X because they're the same. Kareem rolls the dice 500 times. Assuming Kareem is right, work out an estimate for the number of times the dice will land on 2. So once we have assumed that the probability for getting a 1 and a 2 is X, next thing you need to remember is that the probability of the entire dice, giving us different numbers, sum of all of the separate probabilities will equal to 1, which means 1 equals to X plus 0.10 plus 0.30 plus 0.05 and plus 0.25. X plus X is to X. 0.10 plus 0.30 is 0.40 and 0.05 plus 0.25 is 0.30. So 0.40 plus 0.30, which is 0.70. 1 minus 0.70 is 2x. 1 minus 0.70 is 0.30, which is equal to 2x. And 0.30 divided by 2 is 0.15. That is the probability of getting a 1 or a 2. Now they're saying that assuming Kareem is right and he's rolling the dice 500 times, work out an estimate for the number of times the dice will land on 2. So for the dice to land on 2, we'll just multiply the probability of getting a 2 with 500. So 0.15 times 500. Move the decimal 2 places to the right, which gets rid of the 2 zeros over here. So that's 15 times 5. 5 5s are 25. Carry the 2. 5 1s are 5 plus 2. That's 75. So 75 times we can get 2. Kareem is wrong. The probability that the dice will land on 2 is greater than the probability that the dice will land on 1. How does this information affect your answer to part A? So the probability of the dice landing on 2 is greater than the probability of the dice landing on 1. That means the number of times we're getting a 2 when we roll the dice 500 times will be greater. So it will increase the number of times we get a 2 on the dice. And it says work out 3 whole number 1 over 2 minus 1 whole number 1 over 6, giving your answer as a mixed number. So simple question. We first convert the mixed number into an improper fraction. So to do that, we multiply the denominator with the whole number and then add the result to the numerator. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. So 7 over 2. Throughout this process, when you're converting the mixed number into an improper fraction, your denominator will remain the same. Similarly, 6 times 1 is 6. 6 plus 1 is again 7. So it's going to be 7 over 6 for this one. Next step is to remember that when we're adding or subtracting fractions with unlike denominators, we're supposed to make the denominators equal. So for that, we're going to multiply the first fraction by 3 because 2 times 3 is 6 and the denominator for the second fraction is already 6. So that gives us 21 over 6 minus 7 over 6. 21 minus 7 is 14. 14 over 6 can be simplified to 7 over 3. We want the answer in mixed numbers, so we divide 7 by 3. 3 twos are 6. 7 minus 6 is 1. Quotient is always your whole number. Remainder is your numerator. And denominator remains the same. 7 over 3 is the same as 2 whole number 1 over 3. That is your final answer as a mixed number. Then it says that show that 5 whole number 1 over 4 divided by 2 whole number 1 over 3 is equal to 2 whole number 1 over 4. So let's convert the mixed number into an improper fraction. 5 times 4 is 20. 20 plus 1 is 21 over 4 divided by 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. So 7 over 3. When we're dividing fractions, we take the reciprocal of the second fraction. When I say reciprocal, what I mean is that we're going to flip the fraction. So we swap the numerator with the denominator. So 21 over 4 times 3 over 7. As you can see, we flipped 7 over 3. So it becomes 3 over 7. Division turns into multiplication. So now we can simplify diagonally and vertically. Vertically, we know we cannot simplify because 21 and 4 don't come in the same times table, and neither do 3 and 7. However, diagonally, we know 7 and 21 do come in the same times table. 7 ones are 7, 7 threes are 21. 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 1 is 4, and they want the answer in mixed numbers. So 9 divided by 4 is 2 whole number 1 over 4. So that's your answer. Question 4 says all the angles are measured in degrees. Find an expression in terms of E for the size of angle CAD. Give reason for each stage of your working. This is the angle that they're asking us to find the expression for. So since it's a parallelogram, that means opposite sides are parallel. First thing. Second thing is that when we have a transversal in the parallelogram or between two parallel lines, alternate angles are equal. This is the same as this, which means if this is E, so is this. If this is E and this is 3E, and we need to find an expression for this one, we can see that this is a triangle, ACD. So sum of angles for a triangle is 180. 180 equals to 3E plus E plus angle CAD. So that's 180 equals to 4E plus CAD. And that's 180 minus 4E equals to CAD. This is your expression for angle CAD. So first reason for this step is going to be alternate angles are equal in parallel lines. Hence, angle BAC is the same as angle ACD. That's why they were equal to E. And then for this step, sum of angles in a triangle equal to 180 degrees. So these are your two reasons for the process that we do to find the expression for angle CAD in terms of E. Question 5 says a car travels 4.96 miles at an average speed of 30.4 miles per hour. Work out an estimate for the time taken by the car, giving your answer in minutes. So since you're asking us to work out an estimate, so what we can do is we can round the 4.96 to 5. And the 30.4 can be rounded to 30. So time would be distance divided by the average speed. So distance is 5 divided by 30. That's 1 over 6. They want it in minutes. So in minutes, we just times 1 over 6 by 60. And that gives us 10 minutes as the estimate. Then it says, is your answer to part an underestimate or an overestimate? Give a reason for your answer. So we overestimated the 4.96 to 5 miles. And we underestimated 30.4 miles per hour to 30. So since we rounded up the average speed and rounded down the distance, so it's an overestimate. Since miles is rounded up and miles per hour is rounded down. That's your answer. Question 6 is here's a pentagon and angle A equals to angle C. Angle B equals to 155. Angle D is 3 times of angle C. So if I say this is A and this is A, so this is 3 times of A. And angle E is 2 times the size of angle C, so this is 2A. We have to work out the size of angle A. So firstly, it's a pentagon. Number of sides are 5. So first thing what we should do is we should find the sum of angles for a pentagon, like sum of interior angles. So sum of interior angles is going to be n minus 2 times 180. N is already given us 5 because it has 5 sides. So 5 minus 2 times 180. 3 times 180. And that is going to give us 540 degrees. Now, sum of interior angles 540. So we created another equation where 540 equals to all of these angles added up. So we have A plus 2A plus 3A plus 155. Bring the 155 to the other side. So 540 minus 155. Collect the like terms over here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 A's. So 540 minus 155 is going to give us 385. So this is 7A. 385 divided by 7. So 7 fives are 35. 30 minus 35 is 3 again, 35. So that's going to be 55. Angle A equals to 55 degrees. That's your answer. Question 7 says the graph shows the volume of water V liters in a tank at time t seconds. What does the gradient of this graph represent? So as you can see, we have the volume on the y-axis and the time on the x-axis. So that clearly shows the rate of change of volume in the tank. Then it says the diagram shows a solid triangular prism on a horizontal floor. They've given us the formula for pressure, which is force over area. The face in contact with the floor is a rectangular width 2 meters. The pressure on the floor due to the prism is 80 newtons per meter square. The force exerted by the prism on the floor is 720 newtons. Work out the length of the prism. So basically, they're asking us to calculate this length. This is x. So they told us that this is 2 meters and the pressure is 80 newtons meter per second. So this is 80. Force is 720. So we can easily use this formula to find the area of the base. So 80 equals to 720 over the area, and area equals to 720 divided by 80. Cancel the 0 out first, and 2 divided by 8 is 9 meters square. Now the base is 2 meters and the length is what we have to find. So 9 equals to 2 times x. 9 divided by 2 is x, and that is 4.5 meters. That is the length of the prism. Question 9 says the cumulative frequency graph gives information about the marks that 60 students got in a test. For these 60 students, the highest mark was 74. The lowest mark was 8. On the grid below, draw a box plot for the distribution of the marks. So they've given us the maximum and the minimum value, but we still need to figure out the interquartile range, which is basically found by using the lower quartile and the upper quartile. And we need the median as well for the box plot. So first thing, 60 divided by 2 is 30. So we need to find a 30th value for the median. For the 30th value, we draw a line from 30 towards the graph and see that we're getting 34. So the median value is 34. Now for the upper quartile, we find 3/4 of 60. So 3/4 of 60 is going to be 4 ones are 4, and this is going to be 15, and 3 times 15 is 45. So we go from 45 towards the graph. That's coming out to be 42. So Q3 is 42. Then for the lower quartile, we find 1/4 of 60, which is 15. So we draw a line from 15. That's 25. Q1 is 25. So using this information, we'll draw our box plot. So let's erase this. So we don't need this, we don't need this, and we don't need this. So the box is between 25 and 42. 25 is going to be over here, 42 is going to be your median is at 34. Maximum value is 74. Minimum value is 8. This is your box plot. The pass mark for the test was 40. Science says that 30% of the 60 students passed the test. So is San correct? You must show how you get your answer. So 30% of 60 is what? Cancel the zeros out, so that's 18 students. So he's saying that 18 students passed the test. So we go to the graph. We do 60 minus 18, which is going to give us 42. So we draw a line from 42 on the cumulative frequency graph. We're getting a score of 40 over here. And these are the people who are 30% of 60, the 18 students. Still in the question, 40 was the passing marks. And it said that 30% of the students passed the test. And we can clearly see that 30% of students did pass the test. So yes, San is correct. This is work out 25 to the power of 1 over 2 times 8 to the power of 1 over 3. So let's rewrite 25 as 5 squared. Write it in the base of its prime factor, and 8 can be rewritten as 2 cubed. When you have a power inside the bracket, outside the bracket, you multiply those power. So 2 times 1 over 2 is 1. So 5 to the power of 1 times 2 to the power of 1, which is 10. Then find the value of 1 over 32 whole power 3 over 5. So once again, rewrite 32 as 2 to the power of 5. So 1 over 2 to the power of 5 whole power 3 over 5. Distribute the power. 1 to the power of anything is going to be 1. So 2 to the power of 5 times 3 over 5. Like I said previously, whenever we have a power outside the bracket, inside the bracket, we multiply them. So 5 times 3 over 5 is 3. So 2 cubed, which is 1 over 8. That is your final answer. Question 11 says Kate was asked to factorize x squared plus 5x plus 6 in the form of x plus a times x plus b. Kate says the sum of a and b must be 6 and the product of a and b must be 5. Explain what is wrong with Kate's statement. So if you're someone who has factorized enough number of quadratic equations by now, you would know that it would be the sum of a and b that must be equal to 5, and it's the product of a and b that must be equal to 6, because when we expand this, it's a square plus xb plus ax plus ab. So a times b is equal to 6. So the product of a and B must be 6, whereas the sum ax plus bx, that is equal to 5x. And the sum must be equal to 5. It should be the other way around, basically. Then factorize fully 2m squared minus 2. So first we see if there's a highest common factor common between both the two terms. And as we can see, 2 is. So 2 bracket m squared minus 1. Now we don't just stop over here because m squared minus 1 basically qualifies for the difference of perfect squares. Difference of perfect squares, that when we have two perfect squares being subtracted, it can be rewritten as a plus b times a minus b. So we can rewrite m squared minus 1 as m plus 1 times m minus 1. So that is your fully factorized answer. Remember, when it says factorize fully, there must be another step. It's not just one step. So you have to keep on analyzing your equation and see if there's any other way you can still further factorize it. Then it says again, factorize fully ax plus bx minus ay minus by. So this is the case of factorizing by grouping. So factor by grouping, we split the equation to two groups and then factor them separately. So this is one group, this is another group. So between ax and bx, we have x common. So x brackets a plus b. And between negative ay and negative by, we have negative y common. So bracket a plus b. Now we can clearly see that this isn't just the final factorized form. Between x and negative y, we have a plus b common. So we take a plus b common, and the bracket we write x minus y. So this is your fully factorized form, not x bracket a plus b minus y bracket a plus b. Some kids make this mistake that they end up, adding them up. So they would add ax plus bx or ay minus ax minus ay or something like that. That's also incorrect. You cannot add different variables. I know that x is the same when it comes to ax and bx, and between ay and by we have y same. But we still have another variable attached, which is a and b. So we can't just add or subtract like that. We can only add or subtract if the variable is same and if the variables have the same degree of power. If they don't have that, then you cannot add or subtract them. Then it says that A, B, and C are three solid spheres. Sphere A has a volume of 64 centimeter cube. Sphere B has a volume of 125 centimeter cube. Radius of sphere C is 50% of the radius of sphere B. Work out the ratio of the surface area of sphere A to the surface area of sphere C, giving us the form of A is to B, where A and B are integers. So firstly, we need to figure out the radius of sphere A. They've given us the volume, so 64 equals to 4 over 3 pi r cube. 64 times 3 over 4 pi equals to r cube. Take the cube root on both sides. So cube root of 64 is 4 because 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. So 4 comes outside. 3, 4, and pi remain inside the cube root. So 3 over 4 pi are inside the cube root. And over here, it's just r because cube root of the cube number is the number itself. Now this is for sphere A. Now for sphere B, it's 125 equals to 4 over 3 pi r cube. So 125 times 3 over 4 pi cube rooted. Same steps as for sphere A. So 125 is basically 5 times 5 times 5. So the 5 comes outside, and cube root of 3 over 4 pi remains inside the cube root. So this is equal to R. Now, the question said that the radius of sphere C is 50% of the radius of sphere B. So if this is the radius for sphere B, sphere C would be half of it, so 5 over 2 times cube root of 3 over 4 pi. We just times this by 1 over 2, so that's why it's 5 over 2. So we have to work out the ratio of the surface area of sphere A to the surface area of sphere C. Surface area is the formula of 4 pi r square. 4 pi r square is to 4 pi r square. 4 pi times, for A, it's 4 cube root of 3 over 4 pi squared. And over here, it's 4 pi times 5 over 2 cube root of 3 over 4 pi squared. That's going to be 4 pi's getting cancelled out because they're present on both sides. And then we have 16 because 4 square. And this entire thing, I'm just going to write it as this. Cube root of 3 over 4 pi squared. And this is going to be 25 over 4. And this is also cube root of 3 over 4 pi squared. So once again, they exist on both sides, so we can cancel them out because basically a ratio is the same as a fraction. So it's this divided by this. So that's why I'm canceling common things out. So now we're left with 16 root. So now we're left with 16 is to 25 over 4. It says that A and B are supposed to be integers. So we times both by 4 to get rid of the fraction. 16 times 4 is 64. And this is 25. So 64 is to 25 is the ratio of the surface area of sphere A is to surface area of sphere C. This is your final answer. Then it says here are two cuboids. All lengths are measured in centimeters. The volume of cuboid A is 142 centimeter cube greater than the volume of cuboid B. Work out the volume of X. So for this, I'm going to create an equation where volume of A is basically equal to X plus 2 times 2x minus 1 times x minus 1. And volume of B is going to be x plus 3 times 2x times x minus 3. Volume of cuboid A is 142 centimeter cube greater than volume of cuboid B. So which means this plus this equals to volume of B. Which means volume of B plus 142 is equal to this one. So x plus 2 times 2x minus 1 times x minus 1 equals to 142 plus 2x times x plus 3 times x minus 3. Now, let's expand the triple brackets on both sides. So x plus 2 times 2x minus 1, let's expand that first. So that's 2x squared minus x plus 4x minus 2 bracket x minus 1 equals to 142 plus 2x times. Now, x plus 3 times x minus 3 is the expanded form of difference of perfect squares, which means we can rewrite that as x squared minus 9. Simple as that. Collect the like terms, so 2x squared plus 3x minus 2 times x minus 1 equals to 142 plus 2x cubed minus 18x. Okay, so that's on one side. So now we expand this bracket. So 2x squared times x is 2x cubed. 2x squared times negative 1 is negative 2x squared. 3x times x is plus 3x squared. Then negative 3x minus 2x plus 2 equals to 142 plus 2x cubed minus 18x. Collect the like terms again. 2x cubed plus x squared minus 5x plus 2 equals to 2x cubed minus 18x plus 142. Now we're going to collect all of the terms on one side. 2x cubed minus 2x cubed plus x squared minus 5x plus 18x plus 2 minus 142 equals to 0. 2x cubed minus 2x cubed is 0. X squared minus 5x plus 18x is plus 13x. 2 minus 142 is minus 140 equals to 0. That is our equation. Now we factorize this to find the value of x. So we can factor by splitting the middle term, or you can use the quadratic formula, whichever way you're comfortable with. I'm going to use splitting the middle term. So for that, we need to find factors of 140 because x squared has a coefficient of 1. So 1 times 140 is 140. So we need to find that sort of factors which, when added or subtracted, gives us the middle term, which is 13. So that in our case is 20 times 7. So 13x can be replaced by 20x minus 7x, and everything else comes as it is. So between x squared and 20x, we have x common. So x plus 20 in the bracket. And between 7x and 140, we have negative 7 common. So x plus 20 comes in the bracket. So x plus 20 is common between x and negative 7. So x minus 7 comes in the bracket over here. So x equals to negative 20 and x equals to 7. These are your values of x. Obviously, we're going to stick to 7 because your length cannot be negative. So negative 20 is not applicable. Question 14 says ABC is a triangle. Work out the length of AB. So we have to find this. As you can see, we have one complete set of length and angle, which means we can use the sine rule. We can't use the cosine rule over here because for the cosine rule, we need either two lengths and the angle between them, or we need all three lengths. None of those conditions are met by this triangle. So the best option we have is the sine rule. So according to sine rule, the equation is going to be 3 root 2 divided by sine 30 equals to x over sine 45. Alternative way of writing this is that you write the angle in the numerator and the length in the denominator. Both ways are correct. Both ways you'll get the same answer. So don't get confused if someone writes the angle in the numerator or the length in the numerator. Either way, it's going to give you the same value. So going back to the first equation, since we're not allowed to use the calculator, so you need to remember that we need to know the values for trigonometric ratios. Sine 30 is basically 1 over 2. So we replace sine 30 with 1 over 2 over here. And sine 45 is 1 over root 2. If you're someone who doesn't know what the values are, like for this, you need to memorize this. If you can't memorize this, there's a trick which is showed in this chart above. I have shared the trick for that, so you can just learn the trick. Or if the trick is also difficult for you, then you just need to know how the special triangles work. You need to make your special triangles on the side, see what the ratio would be for each angle that you're focusing on the question. So we cross multiply 3 root 2 times 1 over root 2 equals to x times 1 over 2. The root 2's gets cancelled out. And then we multiply 3 with 2. And your length of AB, which is basically x, noted as x by me, is going to be 6 centimeters. That is your final answer. So remember, for these, you need to know your trigonometric ratios and their values. Like what is sine 30, what is cos 30, what is tan 30. what is sine 60, cos 60, tan 60, sine 45, cos 45, tan 45, sine 90, cos 90, tan 90. These values need to be on your fingertips for this because they have introduced these in the IGCSE Cambridge one as well because they made their paper non-calculator as well now, just like yours. So they're also getting questions on the trigonometric ratios, like the exact value of trigonometric ratios. And even the international Edexcel one, theirs is a non-calculator, so they have that advantage. But for you guys also, you need to know the exact values of trig ratios. Then it says OXYZ is a parallelogram. Vector OY equals to A. Vector OZ equals to B. M is the point on OY such that OM is to MY is 1 is to 3. So which means OM would be 1/4 of A and MY would be 3/4 of A. N is the point on OZ such that ON is to NZ 1 is to 2. So if this entire is B, that means ON would be 1/3 of B and NZ would be 2/3 of B. So now that we've established this, they want us to work out the ratio of XN. This is to MN. Okay. So first thing, XN is going to be XO plus ON. We don't know what XO is going to be, but we know that if OZ is B, XY is also going to be B because parallel vectors are the same. And using this, we can find OX or XO. XO would be XY plus YO. XY is B. YO is negative A because when you change the direction, the sign changes. So negative A plus B is XO. So OX would be A minus B. So we got that covered. Now we need to find ON. We already know ON, that's 1/3 of B. We can find XN. Yeah. XN would be XO plus ON. XO is negative A plus B and ON is 1/3 of B. So that's going to be negative A plus 4/3B. Or if you want to write the entire thing as a fraction, that's negative 3A plus 4B/3. That is XN. Now we have the XN part covered, so we need to figure out what MN would be. So for MN, we have OM, we have ON, so we can find the vector MN very easily. So MN would be ON minus OM or, MO plus ON. So vector MN would be MO plus ON. MO is going to be negative 1/4A and ON was 1/3 of B. So that's negative 3A plus 4B/12. XN is to MN. XN is negative 3A plus 4B/3. And over here we have negative 3A plus 4B/12. We can clearly see that negative 3A plus 4B is common on both sides. So when we cancel those out, we're left with 1/3 is to 1/12. We can times both of them by 12 to get to the fraction. So that leaves us with 4:1. That is your final answer for the ratio of xn:(mn). Question 16 says rationalize the denominator of 15 over root 5. So when we're rationalizing a denominator where there's just one surd, so we just times both the numerator and denominator by that surd like this. So that's going to be 15 root 5 over root 5 being squared because we're multiplying two root 5s. So that's going to be 15 root 5 over 5. Square of a square is the number inside the root. That's just 5. And then 15 divided by 5 is 3. So 3 root 5 is the rationalized surd. I don't know if you've noticed this, but when we talk about rationalizing the denominator, basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the surd from the denominator. So when we get rid of that surd from the denominator, we have rationalized the denominator. So if you see, originally the surd was in the denominator. Now it's in the numerator. Part B says write root 75 minus 2 over 1 plus 2 root 3 in the form of a minus b root 3 over c, where a, b, and c are integers. So for this, we're also rationalizing the denominator again, but now as you can see, there's not just like root 3 existing on its own, it's 1 plus 2 root 3. So in this case, we multiply the fraction by the conjugate of the surd in the denominator, which would be 1 minus 2 root 3. It's the same thing. The only thing that changes is that the sign in the middle is opposite. So if it's plus originally, it becomes minus. If it's minus, it becomes plus. So now we multiply the numerator with the numerator and denominator with the denominator. So root 75 minus 2 times 1 minus 2 root 3 over 1 plus 2 root 3 times 1 minus 2 root 3. So that's going to be root 75 minus 2 times 75 times 3. We multiply the numbers in the surds with each other. Then minus 2 plus 4 root 3. When the number is existing on its own without a surd, you multiply it by the number outside the surd, not inside the surd. Whereas for root 75 times 2 root 3, we multiplied the surd with the surd. So 75 times 3, the 2 was outside. Now in the denominator, that is the important part. If you notice, we're once again doing difference of perfect squares. It's a plus b times a minus b. So you can just rewrite this as a square minus b square, which is 1 square, minus 2 root 3 squared. If you remember this step, your calculation becomes very easy because then you don't have to do the entire expansion and then collect the like terms and all of that. It's going to save time. So this is root 75 minus 2. 75 times 3 is going to be 225 minus 2 and plus 4 root 3. And this is 1 minus 4 times 3. The 2 gets squared, so that's 4, and root 3 squared is just 3. Now 75 can be broken down into its prime factors. 75 divided by 5 is going to be 15. 15 divided by 5 is 3. So 75 is 5 squared times 3. If we do that, that gives us 5 root 3. The 5 square comes outside as 5. So 5 root 3 minus 2. Root 225 is basically 15. So that becomes a 15 minus 2 plus 4 root 3 over 1 minus 12. 2 times 15 is 30. 5 root 3 plus 4 root 3 is 9 root 3. And negative 30 minus 2 is negative 32. and this is negative 11. So this is your final answer, where C is negative 11, A is negative 32, and B is 9. You can also rewrite this as like 32 minus 9 root 3 over 11. Either way, your answer is going to be correct. Question 17 says A, B, and C are points on a circle center O. CD is a tangent to the circle. Angle BCD is 40 degrees. So BCD, this is 40 degrees. Angle OAB is 3 times angle OAC. So whatever this is x, this is 3x. And as you can see, OA equals to OB. So this is also going to be 3x. And honestly, if we connect OC as well, that's also the same, which means this is going to be x. So we have these three isosceles triangles actually. We have to work out the size of angle ACD. AAC, this entire angle actually. That's what they're asking for. Write down any circle theorems that you use. So first thing, it's the radius, like, OA equals to OB equals to OC, because they're all the radius. Now, if this is 40, this would also be 40 by alternate segment theorem. In alternate segment theorem, if we have a triangle inside a circle and the three vertices are touching the circumference of the circle, then that triangle qualifies for the alternate segment theorem, where whatever this angle is, that's going to be this angle that's outside the triangle. This angle, let me use a different color. This angle would be this angle, because this is a tangent after all. And this angle in the middle stays the same, which is exactly inside the triangle as well. So it's going to be the same. Because, angles on straight line add up to 180. And sum of angles for a triangle is also 180. So because of that, alternate segment theorem states that this angle equals to this equals to this, and this is the same. So keeping that in mind, x plus 3x would equal to 40. 4x equals to 40, and x would equal to 10. So if this is 40 and this is 3x, so this angle OAB is 30, angle OAC is 10. So we can easily find these angles in the middle now. This angle, this angle, this angle, you can find these. So for angle AOB, that's 180 minus 30 times 2, which is 120. This is 120. Then for angle AOC, that will be 180 minus 20, because we have 2 tenths, so that's going to be 160. So this would be angle COB, that's 360 minus 120 minus 160. That's 360 minus 280, which is going to give us 80 degrees. So that's 80 over here. Read angle ACD. So then this would be different color again. OCB would be 180 minus 80 divided by 2. That's 50. So ACD is 10 plus 50 plus 40. 100 degrees. That's a angle. I know it looks very confusing, but like if you watch the solution step by step, it'll make more sense rather than just looking at this point. So if you watch the solution step by step, you would understand what's happening and how we're reaching 200 degrees. We are using the alternate segment theorem. We are using the fact that OA, OB, and OC are, the radius, which splits the triangle ACB into three isosceles triangles. And using that, we find the, unknown angles. And then for ACD, we just add up all these angles and we get 100 degrees. Then question 18 says the function f of x equals to 5x minus 3 or 4. Find the inverse. So we put the function equal to y first. Right now, y is the subject. We have to make x the subject. So first, we cross multiply 4 with y. Then I take 3 to the other side. So 4y plus 3 equals to 5x. And x would be 4y plus 3 divided by 5. So the last step is going to be replace x with f inverse x and y with x. So 4y plus 3 over 5 is your inverse of the function. Then it says for all the values of x, g of x equals to x minus 1 whole square and h of x equals to 1 minus 2x. Work out the value of g of h of 5. So first, let's find the value of h of 5. That's going to be 1 minus 2 times 5, which is 1 minus 10, and that's negative 9. So if h of 5 is negative 9, that means g of h of 5 is the same as g of negative 9. H of 5 was the domain of g of x, but since we have the value of h of 5, which is negative 9, now negative 9 is the domain of g of x. So that's going to be negative 9 minus 1 whole square, negative 10 whole square, which is 100. So that's your final answer. Question 19 is in the semifinals of a chess tournament, player A will play player B. Player C will play player D. The two winners will then play each other in the final. The probability that player A will win against player B is 0.6. The probability that player A will win against player C is 0.5. The probability that player A will win against player D is 0.3. And then the probability that player C will win against player D is 0.2. Work out the probability that player A will win the chess tournament. Okay, so for this, for A, B win, B lose. So if B is winning, that's going to be 0.4. But if A is winning, that's going to be 0.6. Now, for A against C, C win, C lose. So if A is winning against C, that's 0.5, and this is also 0.5. Then after that, for A against D winning and D losing. So if A is winning against D, that's 0.3, and this is 0.7. And then C against D, D winning, D losing. So if C is winning, that's 0.2, and C is losing, that's 0.8. Okay, so first we talk about probability of player A winning against B and C. So against P, if player A wins, that's 0.6 times winning against C, that's going to be 0.5. So that's 0.30. Then the probability of player A winning against B and D. So that's going to be 0.6 times 0.3, which is 0.18. After that, so if the player is winning against B and C, so that's the score that we're getting. And if it's winning against B and D, we're getting this. In the semifinals of a chess tournament, player A will play player B and player C will play player D as well. So we need to figure out whether C is qualifying or not. So if C wins, then A is playing against C, and if C loses, then A is playing against D. Now, if player A is playing player D in the finals, so the probability of player A winning against D would be 0.18 times 0.8. Because for player A to win against player D in the finals, player D needs to win against player C because C and D are playing against each other. So the probability for that is 0.8. So for player A to win against player D, we would do 0.18 times 0.8, which is going to give us 0.144. And then the probability of player A winning against C, we would do 0.30 times 0.2. So 0.30 times 0.2 would give us 0.06. So the probability of player A winning the tournament, we would just add these two. Probability of player A winning would be 0.144 plus 0.06, and that is going to give us 0.204. That is your final answer. So once again, first we find the probability of player A winning against B and C, which is going to be 0.6 times 0.5. That is 0.3. Then you find the probability of player A winning against player B and then player D, which is going to be 0.18. Now, after all of this, probability of player A winning against D would be 0.18 times 0.8. And the probability of player A winning against player C would be 0.3 times 0.2. So then you add them up, that gives us the probability of player A winning the chess tournament. Then says, C is the circle with equation x squared plus y squared equals to 4. Find an equation of the tangent to C at the point P1 where P is greater than 0. Give your answer in the form of y plus root a x plus y plus root a x equals to b, where a and b are integers. You must show all your breaking. So firstly, if the equation of the circle is x squared plus y squared equals to 4, that means it's passing through the origin, and the center is the center of the circle is your origin, which is 0, 0, and radius is 2. Because 2 squared is 4, so the radius would be 2. Now, if we put this information in the distance formula, because if we have this circle, this is your center of the circle 0, 0. This is your radius 2. This is where you have your tangent, and this is where your point C is, which is P1. So 2 is the distance of O to C. So 2 would equal to root of P minus 0 whole square plus 1 minus 0 whole square. We square both sides to get the root over here, so that's going to be 4 equals to p square plus 1. 4 minus 1 equals to p square. 3 equals to p square. Square root both sides. And plus minus root 3 is p. Question says that p is greater than 0, which means positive root 3 equals to p, not the negative one. Now, whatever the gradient is of OC, the gradient of the tangent is going to be different from that because both the radius and the tangent, as you know, are always perpendicular to each other. So if you find the gradient of OC, m of OC would be 1 minus 0 over p minus 0, which is going to be 1 over p. P is given as root 3, so that's 1 over root 3. That is your gradient of OC. So which means gradient of OC times gradient of tangent equals to negative 1 because both are perpendicular to each other. So 1 over root 3 times gradient of tangent equals to negative 1, and gradient of tangent would be negative root 3. Now we have the gradient of the tangent. We have the coordinates of point C, which is root 3 and 1. So we can easily find the equation for the tangent. So y minus 1 equals to negative root 3 times x minus root 3. That's going to be y minus 1 equals to negative root 3x plus 3 because root 3 times root 3 is 3. Y equals to negative root 3x plus 3 plus 1, which is negative root 3x plus 4. So they want it as y plus root 3x equals to 4. A is 3 and B is 4. This is your final answer. And I think this was for 4 marks, yeah.